Hello, welcome to the Terror from the Void modification for Phoenix Point. Today I'm going to be spoiling some very fun mechanic, something new we've been adding just recently, and it's really cool. And I'm also going to be doing this really hard, one of the hardest in fact missions in the game, Catching the Runners, the second mission from Corrupted Horizon DLC. It's designed to be played with a large squad, but I'm only using 6 underleveled people. They are all level 4 to 5. One person is level 6. And yes, and so I'll comment on the strategy choices and on the new stuff we'll be discovering in this mission. So in here I have two priests, two berserkers, one assault and one sniper, and I've instantly noticed one Myrmidon on the roof, and right now I'm considering my choices here, how to position my squad. I don't know how many aliens are on the right side and how many are on the left side. So in here my priest has a fire grenade, and it's really effective at dealing with Myrmidons. So I also noticed, or in fact that's mind sense from priest revealed some enemies. So I'm going to be throwing grenade, hitting two targets, and this Myrmidon is effectively out of combat, so I'm going to use my leftover action points to equip my priest with combat shield. And in here, I'm trying to block the passage in case there's an Arthon or somebody else, so they can't really go after my priest. That's the whole point in putting the tough, heavy armored berserker in front. And I probably should have tried to discover more aliens, who's in the building, what kind of aliens there are before moving my berserker there. But well, anyway, I've done that. I also see there is a Triton Maniac Alpha with piercing rifle on the up building over there, but I think it's not alerted yet. And it's really important in this mission to not alert too many enemies, because if you, for example, alert Acheron from the start, he will start calling reinforcement, and that's going to be really tough. So what I decide to do here, I'm going to try to put my sniper over there and overwatch the building closest to him, the one that Myrmidon is in. And we discovered another enemy, this Triton Hitman. It changes everything, because he can also snipe us. So right now I'm considering my options and how to deal with this rather annoying new enemy. I'm considering better cover, and here is the discovery. We have this new mechanic called Revenants, and Revenants are basically when your soldier dies in a mission, he will come back as a Pandoran monster, and they can actually never be killed, because Pandorans have their DNA, so they will keep resurrecting them. And here you can see that this Revenant has a name of my fallen operative, and it's also called Mimic. The Revenants are going to have 3 different tires, and Mimic is the weakest of them. And this particular Revenant took a form of Arthon, and the forms will also vary depending on their type. And he was Berserker, so you can see he has some abilities of Berserker that he had in life carried over to him as Pandoran Monstrosity. But the most important mechanic we have here is this Revenant Resistance. So yeah, here I'm showing the Bloodlust ability, and also higher levels of Revenants will have other abilities from this class, more dangerous. And right now this is the biggest change. This is Revenant Resistance. This is a sort of reactive evolution that's been promised by developers, and the tooltip is not correct here. What it actually does right now, because I've been using a lot of melee weapons with high damage single attack, they've gained sort of resistance to the first attack during the round. So it's like, you know, this mechanic ancient hoplites have. When you shoot at them, they absorb almost all of the damage that's being shot at them. First attack is being absorbed. So what it means, I will have to not use my sniper rifles, not use my melee weapons or use them not as a first attack during a round. I will have to use burst weapons like shotguns, like machine guns, like assault rifles. I will also have to use explosive and all other kinds. So it kind of forces me to adjust a little bit. Forces me to adjust my strategy, and it also kind of makes it so that some missions like Revenants, they spread this resistance to all enemies on the map. So when Revenant is present, he kind of teaches other Pandorans about stuff he knows because he was a Pandoran or Phoenix operative once. He kind of knows inside out, knows all the tactics Phoenix employs, so he kind of teaches his buddies, newfound Pandoran buddies, about Phoenix tactics so they can counter it. So that's what kind of is represented by that resistance. And we're currently testing, it's currently VIP feature, but I thought it's really exciting to find out. So, and then here I think I'm considering that I really want to mind control this Revenant, because Arthur Scourges are some of the best candidates for mind control. They are kind of low on willpower, and their weapons are really powerful. So evolved machine gun, evolved grenade launcher, that's all really cool. And that's why I also set up Overwatch like this. I don't want to shoot this Revenant. I want to capture him, I want to mind control him, and I don't want him to be shot by my sniper, but that will be pretty relevant. And this guy, since I have a Triton sniper over there, what I want to do is I want to expose my guy with combat shield, so the sniper doesn't go looking for other targets, so that he will just try to shoot this guy with combat shield, and that's why I'm going to put him in a place where I put him. I looking for ways to maybe I can throw a grenade first, but I can't reach him, so I'm just going to set up a shield, hoping that the sniper will shoot at him. I also have this priest, but I really want, since I'm going to be doing mind control, I usually try to use different priests for that if I can. So one priest will psychic scream and the other one will mind control. So the guy with psychic scream can also mind control someone, use those enemies for a long time. So I see some people who are probably unalerted. There's a siren, and this siren, she's acting pretty early, so that means she will buff everyone with speed. So in here we have some pretty annoying enemies that will get very fast. And you see my strategy paid off. I managed to draw this Triton sniper fire into my shield. There's a dragon champion coming with an Umbra fog, Umbra breath, and Manic Alpha hopefully is unalerted yet, so he's not trying to attack me. And there goes my mind control target. It's no longer effective as a ally, so I'll have to just finish him off. Dragon champions are really dangerous. Well, dragons are really dangerous and better enemies. That's why I'll probably try to take care of them both. So here, sniper rifle, I really want to shoot at it, really want to destroy it, but I miss somehow. That's almost an impossible miss. But well, I couldn't take care of the rifle, so in here I think what I want to do is land grenade on these two Arthans. They are really good target. They are fragile. They are fragile enough to lose limbs. They are dangerous, and there's two of them, so I really want to destroy them before they can do any harm. Well, that's what I'm gonna do. Trying to land it perfectly. And go back into cover. Despite being kinda squishy, this guy is well protected in here. He has a tree, and I put shield on his back, so that's what, when you have combat shield, it's important to watch for positioning. Sometimes you want to grab it in your hand to protect your side, sometimes you want it on your back. So yeah, and here I'm evaluating how much damage fire will deal to them, what kind of So what I saw, they will lose all but pincer, and they won't have any legs to actually do any harm with those pincers. So they are basically harmless next turn. I still need to take care of this Triton. So in here I actually made a mistake because I'm thinking if Earthons will be able to land grenade throw on me, acidic grenades, and I just evaluated that they will not have their launchers. But right now I'm thinking, what if they have it? Where do I put my berserker? What if I use dash? So I could have safely used dash and attacked him with melee weapon with Phoenix Lance, Shock Lance, but I decided to just reduce his action points so he can't use his sniper rifle anymore. Right now he has like 2 action points, 14 out of 21 total, so that's what I did, which is okay move actually, because you know it's always best to stay out of harm's way if you can. So despite I'm not being really endangered, there was this Triton Ghoul, there was Siren, and then here I'm thinking where will these enemies go, and that's an important thing a lot of people neglect actually. You want to support your flanks. So in here I'm moving like this so I don't alert unnecessary enemies, and I also put this guy here because I know that Siren will be coming, lots of dangerous enemies will be coming. I'm not sure where they will go, but I want this sniper and assault covered. So right now I have solid uh, options. I have this priest, he can go to either building, to the left or to the right, and I just want to keep those guys in a position where they can assist each other at all times. So if, for example, Pandorans will come to the right, I can move my priest, my berserker, my sniper toward the right. If they go to the left, well, I can do that also. And I think I'm trying to land some viral damage on the Siren. That's why I set up Overwatch like this. Okay, it's good that Acheron is not alerted, I think. And Arthur draws my fire and everything misses. That's okay. So they went to the left, their left, so I can start moving my people to that side, so they will deal with the threats accumulating on that flank. Yeah, and like I said, Siren actually did frenzy everyone, so it's getting increasingly dangerous. And then if I didn't have people at this location, I would have a lot of more trouble dealing with them. That would escalate really quickly. So Ghoul comes here and he shoots my guy. You see this combat shield on the back really saved the day. So that's why it's important to properly place your equipment. Right here it was really lucky from me because I didn't really... You see, I buffed grenade launchers in better enemies. They have more range. I'm still a little bit unaccustomed to that. So think if there's another guy coming with grenade launcher right here, I'm thinking about it. And he's going to shoot again, but I'm getting lucky here, it didn't deal enough damage. Because my guy here has pretty fragile leg armor. I'm going to see what happened, why I didn't lose any limbs, and actually none of the grenades landed at my feet. That was lucky actually. So okay, that's a good situation for me. And if in case you're wondering if we're going to discuss Revenants, I think I can discuss them a little bit more once we're out of this pitch. So I will definitely talk a little bit more about it. And here I'm considering my positioning. So, you know, I want to disable this Myrmidon, I need to take care of the Siren, I want to mind control this Scourge before he returns fire, and well, definitely everyone here is a major threat to my guys. Every of these Arthans can easily kill an operative. So that's a difficult position, but I have 4 operatives, and I think I can take them. So here I'm thinking, if I move my guy here, shoot at Myrmidon, will I be able to, you know, escape after that? would I be able to disable his torso. And another thing I haven't done in Terror from the Void, we have done, it's this mechanic that every faction has different approach to Delirium, which is reworked corruption. And for example, you no longer have any bonus damage from having Delirium as a regular human being. In fact, and that's what's being shown here, Disciples of Anu are the only faction who actually harnesses Delirium for positive effects. And despite lowering their willpower, despite other sinister effects Delirium has, Disciples of Anu actually have one major positive. When they have Delirium, each mutated body part they have will increase damage by 2% per body part. So for example, in here I have a guy with 5 Delirium and he will have 20% bonus damage. So 2 mutated body parts, each granting 10%. Yeah, and here I made a mistake killing the Triton earlier. I no longer can mind control cheaply mind control this Arson Scourge, so I'll waste extra willpower, but hopefully my priest has a lot of willpower to spare, so that won't be a problem. But still, it was a mistake. I should have first came and screamed, then destroyed this Triton, then do everything else, but well, that's a bit complicated to explain on the fly. So anyway, let's look here, and you can see the damage is pretty high from this assault rifle, exactly because of the mutations I've been talking about. He has a lot of damage, so it's really effective. It's actually very meshes really well with Disciples of Anu uh, playstyle, combat style. They have a lot of burst weapons like shotguns, and that helps them increase their damage a lot. But well, it also works with other weapons like, for example, New Jericho machine guns really profit from that. So mix and match and find the best optimal combos. And that's one really fun thing about when designing something. It's not about making a package and let the player roll with it. For example, in this case, we could make it so that Disciples of Anu get most benefits from, so the player will just play these Delirium infected soldiers, and if you play them as they come with the equipment they come, it would be the best thing. But that would mean player have nothing to discover. That would mean there is no room for improvisation. So what we do, we kind of make it good with Disciples, but also give some options to make it even better with some combinations. So player can mutate his soldiers, take New Jericho machine gun, and think that he came up with something great because he, thought of that, because he actually was inventive enough to figure it out. So that's kind of how good design, I think, should work. So it's not always predetermined by the designer, but also there's a lot of space for the player to maneuver. Well, anyway, in here I've already successfully disabled a Siren, successfully disabled Myrmidon, and here I'm thinking how to deal with this rather annoying ghoul, because he can actually deal a lot of damage with this viral rifle. So, but first things first, gotta use that Arson Scourge. And you see this machine gun is really something else. It's really damaging. Well, I try to aim at the launcher, which has zero armor, but it's kinda useless because he misses half his shots. At least he manages to do that job down here. That's good. I'm moving my priest away to unblock line of sight. I also have to consider his placement in regards to this ghoul, which may pump me with viral damage, and then I won't be able to sustain mind control. Right now just considering my positional choices so this stuff doesn't happen. So nothing really big, just evaluating further actions. And then here you can already see that it's been going pretty well with so far with this strategy. I've been able to eliminate most of the pretty dangerous, in fact, threats to my group. I put my priest behind the wall. I probably should have picked up shield in my arm. That was a minor mistake because it would protect me from the side. I'm betting a little bit on landing at least 2 shots here, but the chances are really high. You can see also the damage at the top, 28 to 48. That's because of the Delirium and mutations I've been talking about. Really fun to use Disciples in Terror from the Void. In my opinion, it's really fun. I keep him here to keep his back protected by the shield. You know, there's a lot of small detail that help you in the long run, because how Phoenix Point is made, it's actually one mistake can escalate really quickly because of how deadly enemies are. So you don't even these small things, they do count a lot. So in here I'm going to try it because my accuracy is higher with somehow my accuracy is higher with Bulldog rifle. I'm going to use that and try it. My choices were basically, do I want to pump this guy with viral and hope I land most shots, or do I try to disable his viral rifle? And I'm waiting until he starts looking to the side like this, so his rifle is exposed, and at this point I'm shooting, and it worked out very well because again the damage is increased and because of the mutations, and that allows me to do some wonderful things. So in here I'm just going to, I think I'm going to hide this berserker from the exposure to Triton Maniac there. He's pretty annoying with this piercing rifle, can deal a lot of damage. I'm considering going there because I want to trap this Acheron, but I'm not sure if he's alerted yet, so I'm just going to hide. And I think I thought for a moment of putting my berserker there to draw some viral fire, but then I remembered that viral rifle is gone, so no point trying to con consider this guy a threat anymore. So okay, Earthen died, and somehow despite dying in the fire, he fell right outside, and I think he's going to spawn Umbra there. Yeah, that's right, you can see the purple glow, and Umbra is definitely coming for me. Okay, this guy is as good as dead too. And yeah, call reinforcement happens. This Acheron is starting to do what Acherons normally do, overwhelm you. And that's one thing we've changed in better enemies. Despite a lot of buffs to various enemies, I've actually increased willpower cost for Acheron call reinforcement because you know it's too much sometimes. Okay, now it's actually pretty good position for me. And this is the place where I decide that I have enough leverage to just go and show off this Revenant resistance and how it works. You can see the first shot from sniper rifle, and it did mere 30 damage from 130 to just 30. It's really like nothing. So you see why you might want to reconsider how you approach these Revenant assisted missions. Well, it's just a matter of how I deal with the rest, but like I say, sometimes I'm being overly cautious because, and exactly because how that's another tooltip, and actually that's a VIP. Some stuff is here just because we didn't do anything better about it. Yeah, so well, the reason I'm a little bit too cautious here because one mistake can lead to losses and a lot of problems. So I'm still, this is I think the last turn when I'm so cautious about how to approach the remaining enemies, because I think it's pretty much looking settled at this point. The Acheron is here. I have some paralysis weapons. I just need to uh, clean up the rest without dying. So that's what I'm going to do. I think in here I'm thinking if I want to mind control this siren or not, and I think it's better to just use it for willpower. And it's an incredible sharpshooting from Xavier. I just took this wild shot because he had definitely nothing better to do. Well, and I weakened him up, her up enough, I think, or not. Yeah, probably I decided that it's not enough. So I'm going to use her to regenerate willpower on my priest, because I don't want to go there because of the Umbra. And in Terraform the Void, Umbras attack, unless we have Void Domain, which I actually have in play. Umbras will only attack characters with Delirium, but since my entire squad is kinda mad already, he has a lot of Delirium being applied to them from the previous missions. And actually this is the mission that will help me unlock the treatment for Delirium, which is actually handled very interestingly in Terraform the Void. If you remember the vanilla, in vanilla when you acquire treatment, you just, you know, Delirium no longer matters, or actually it's called corruption in vanilla. So corruption becomes irrelevant because of the amount of mutagens you have, because of the easiness to acquire it, and because of how simple it becomes to remove Delirium. So it becomes pretty much irrelevant at the point where you acquire the cure. No, not the cure, the treatment. The cure is the final answer, the full solution. And here I'm putting viral into Acheron, so he's already suffered some willpower from all those kills I have made, and at this point I'm just putting viral on him so he can no longer call any reinforcements. And I think I'm going to send my berserker here so he can then proceed to paralyze Acheron before he deals any more harm with calling these reinforcements. Well, anyway, back to discussion about corruption, aka Delirium. In Terraform the Void, it's a little bit different, and I'll spoil it a little bit in this video too, for those who will watch it thoroughly. We have handled Delirium in a way, like, I think that actually makes sense when you pump somebody with mutagens, because the treatment is basically, you know, this guy's going mad, let's put some mutagens in him to make, you know, him, to put some sense into him. I don't know, whatever this doctor was thinking, how what that's supposed to even work. You know, he's corrupted, let's feed him mutagens, he's gonna feel better, I promise. You know, no, are you really a doctor? Maybe that wasn't the brightest of ideas. And So yeah, so what we did was actually thought that it would make sense if the soldier that's infected, that has delirium, that he will suffer some side effects when he's being treated. And these side effects have various effects. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes he just swallows those mutagens and he's okay, and sometimes he will just lose his mind and some bad stuff will happen to him, some bad perks will start to develop. And sometimes it just, you know, it's too difficult for him, he just has to be sedated and rest, so his stamina drops, something like that. So there are various side effects and there are lots of perks, negative perk that can be acquired. So in a way that's a scale, you know, a balance. So we have some mechanics to encourage you to remove delirium, like obviously there's willpower loss and there's some more. So you really want to remove this delirium from your guys, but also at the same point you kind of don't want to do it because of those side effects. So maybe once or twice you remove it, that's okay, but then it starts to get worse. You start to get these bad perks, and then you start to think, do I really want to treat him again? Do I really want to get more bad stuff happening? So that's kind of stuff we have in mind, and from our playtesting it works quite wonderfully, I think. So I hope you will be able to appreciate that as well. You can see I'm moving on to finish off the Acheron. I still have the sniper over there I'm a little bit wary of, but that's about it. That's at this point the game is done. So I'm not going to talk about gameplay anymore, just conclude that there's a bug with evolved blood-sucking arms. That's vanilla bug. There's a Triton with that had piercing rifle of New Jericho. We've disabled that rifle, and now this Triton is just walking around doing nothing. And this is the bug from vanilla. When you destroy a weapon on such an enemy, he just no longer can attack. I don't know why, and I don't know when exactly it was introduced, but that's an unfortunate thing that we are trying to fix, and I think we will. Well, just to explain this weird behavior of the Triton to you. Okay, so back to this Revenant thing. Yeah, you will say, what if I save scum? Why would you punish me for losing soldiers? Well, actually, we are considering a few options of how to introduce Revenants to the player in case he doesn't lose any soldiers at all. But also there's one thing we want to do is when the soldier is uh, one thing that we want to do. I kind of missed my point here because I was thinking about this priest going on. Yeah, so first of all, we're going to add something that will allow you to access Revenants. But another thing, that when you capture Revenants, when you encounter them, you will have some research unlocks about them, and that will give you some interesting rewards. We are currently also considering what kind of reward that would be, but we are thinking something really powerful. So in that sense, we are really interested in a scenario when the player knows about Revenants and he knows about this mechanic, that when his soldier dies, something bad happens, but also something good is coming your way later on. So in that case, the player will just next time his high level soldier dies, he's like, no, not click and instantly restart, but he's actually thinking, wow, maybe I'll just leave it this way so I can reap the rewards later on. So I hope that can work, at least for some players who are not, always save scamming, always restarting when something bad happens to them. But in case it's still not enough, we're still working on our workarounds that allow us to introduce Revenants to these kind of players so they don't miss out this content. So Revenants basically add this reactive evolution to the game, and that's actually been our long time dream to introduce this reactive evolution, because that's what we paid for, that's what all of us backed. FIG campaign for Phoenix Point, and that's a huge deal breaker for a lot of people. So we really wanted to accomplish that stuff, but there also been a really difficult situation, because to add this reactive evolution to the game is not an easy task. For example, so what we're considering here, so we need to have aliens evolve a certain response. Like, for example, if the player uses a lot of blast weapons, we want to add blast resistance to the enemies, so that makes sense, right? But first of all, it has to be within a certain timeline. So for example, that's week 2, you research Goliath, or you research this New Jericho missile launcher, and you start to use a lot of explosives. So it wouldn't make any sense if aliens developed a response right away, right? So you'd have to blast some of them on the field. So another maybe 2 weeks pass, right? And that's a whole month. And at this point, aliens start to unlock this reaction, and it also takes some time to react, and then they evolve. Some of the aliens evolve to some or all. That's another question. Do we give it to all the aliens, so now this weapon is completely useless, right? Or do we give it to some alien? There are two problems with that. So first, if we give it to everyone, then well, suddenly some of your weapons are just useless. You have to scrap them, right? that's not very fun. Actually, that's may look like a decent idea, but in reality, it's probably pretty bad idea. And then they develop some other resistances, right? Because you also use other weapons, for example, like fire. So now also Pandorans evolve like get fire resistance. So now your other weapons are kind of useless. So it basically forces player to rush, and it basically forces the player to just not use some weapons at all, which is probably not great. So what if we give it to some enemies? Okay, so that's what we've thought at the moment. Well, you have to somehow explain this, why these aliens, right? Why not the other? But even if it's random, there's a huge RNG factor how enemies are deployed in the mission. So we have like 20 aliens deployed. Some of them may get this resistance, some of them may not get this resistance, and it's kind of all a mess. There are ways around that. We could like allocate some resistances, and we've already been thinking about that. Actually, we've considered adding this kind of evolutionary resistances like umbras are added. So some enemies, when they enter the map, they get this umbra resistance type, you know, not umbra, but actually like umbra is just dynamically added to the enemy when he appears on the map, right? So he's either umbra or not, so that's the same. He either get the resistance or doesn't get it. But what we've done with Revenants, I think, is much more elegant and more interesting, because first of all, it's quite, you know, it makes a lot of sense. You don't have to wait all this time to get this evolutionary response. In fact, that's pretty simple. This guy was a Phoenix Point operative. He knows your strategies, he knows your moves, so he kind of teaches his friends, right, his Pandoran friends, about this. He says, okay, hey, Hive Mind, I got a news for you. These guys love explosions. How about we do something about it? Well, actually, I have a few ideas how to fix that, right? So yeah, it's, just like that, and it's pretty intuitively clear. I think that's doesn't need to any further explanation. It makes perfect sense. And another thing that it makes, and that's great, that you don't have to have this stuff in every mission. So it's just some missions. There's a cooldown. Revenants appear every X days. We're still evaluating how many days they can and how often they can appear on the mission. So that's hardly every mission. That's just some missions. You get these Revenants, and they evolve, by the way. Every time they die, they come back stronger next time, etc. This kind of stuff. But thing is that some missions you get this condition that really force you to overthink your strategy, that maybe make you think, okay, maybe I don't put too much faith in those grenade launchers this time, because I know I've been overusing them. I know it's been a lot of explosive thrown around, so maybe I just this time I take a little bit less, because if I encounter Revenant, it's going to be much harder for me, or maybe I'll just switch to fire grenades for a while. And So yeah, so in this case, some missions will be more difficult, some missions will have more restrictions on weapons you can use effectively, but at the same time, it doesn't make these weapons useless for the rest of your campaign. So that's, I think, really great, because it allows huge variety of gameplay, a bigger variety of gameplay, in fact, without limiting the player. Because I think that it's pretty bad when player is limited in his options. It's pretty uh, not fun, actually, when you are forced by the designer into a particular way to play, when he says, okay, now you've used this weapon, you no longer can use it. It's gone now. Scrap it or just unequip it. You've invested into this weapon, and now it's useless. So that's, I think, something we want to avoid. So yeah, so that's how Revenants are going to work, more or less. We're still, like I said, it's still VIP. This is a new feature. It's so hyped that I've decided to spoil it right away, because we are really hyped. We managed to, I think, and we think that we managed to really pull this reactive evolution thing. So let me know what you think in the comments. You can see these are the final stages of cleaning up that mission, and it turned out pretty easy. It looks pretty easy, right, if you play it right. So that's maybe also a useful video, not just for the spoilers but also for the tactical insights you might have got from watching this. So yeah, anyway, so I've spoiled some Revenant stuff, I've spoiled some negative perks from treatment of Delirium. I think I've maybe spoiled some other stuff along the way. But anyway, I hope you find it as exciting as we do, and hopefully you will be super excited to play this mod when it's out, because it's really huge, changing a lot of stuff and how the game is played. So at this point I think I'm going to conclude the video and just let you watch me capture this poor Triton and switch off. So see you in the next installment of our announcements, aka spoilers.